Hi. So I thought I would do something a bit different and add some commentary over at least part of what I'm doing. So this is a couple hours into playing around and learning the basics. That's what I'm doing now, is removing kind of the test build that I had made. Wasn't I was happy with it, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as far as my house. I was just kind of seeing what there was available to do. So I settled on wanting to make kind of a night elf themed room, night elf-ish themed room. That seems to be what I have the decorations and kind of appearance for. So then I made this hallway here with the portraits from the epic version of Midnight, and I kind of like that. So that kind of led me to thinking maybe I could do just kind of a night elf room just to begin with. I want to leave this main room that you start with just kind of as is. I like the idea of having a simple room that I can, maybe use as kind of a test room. At least that's what I was thinking in the beginning. So, um, without giving too much away, what I ended up with wasn't exactly what I started out trying to do. But it is something that I do like, so I think for the moment I will keep it. I kind of ended up doing more of like a treasure, or not a treasure, like a trophy room. Um, or I guess a treasure room, either or. So it's just kind of random things. I just wanted to take what I had and just use it and try to make something that I can just add to over time. So I have ideas now for what I want to do otherwise with my house there. I'm still trying to figure out kind of where everything comes from. If they do anything to simplify things, they need to make the inventory easier to figure out, because I have like 2 or 3 add-ons that I've been trying to use, and while those are helpful, there's still a lot that I'm not fully understanding as far as where things come from. So yeah, so this is me starting to work on the what will be my first room in the house. I did figure out something after the fact that was kind of interesting. So I used the empty stairwell room because of the high ceilings. I think the regular rooms, the ceilings are a bit low. So for what I originally had in mind, I thought this would work better. I did figure out you can add rooms onto this on the second floor. However, you have no stairs, so it basically just lets you run out. If you are already on the second floor, it just lets you run out and fall to the first floor. Which, when I get to the point of having a second floor, which I imagine I will at some point, that will be very nice. But in the short term, that is not very helpful. So I started out trying to be a bit particular and kind of follow through with what the idea was I had, and then as I kind of got further along with this, I kind of became less particular. So there really isn't much of a rhyme or reason other than to say it kind of became like a trophy room, as I said. So it just started putting more kind of random items in there. And all in all, I was pretty happy with what I came up with. So I'm want to say excited, but housing really doesn't have much of a purpose. So I'm curious, I think might be better, to see kind of how they add things to this. If this will be something we just kind of do every once in a while and just go to our houses and add whatever new decor we have. It is fun. I can definitely see the appeal, but it is definitely not perfect. So I have played around with the inside and the outside of the house. So I guess if I'm being honest, I was a bit disappointed in that they said a lot of achievements would be retroactive, and considering the age of my account, which is around 15-ish years old now, I kind of thought there would be a bit more. And from what the add-ons are telling me and things like that, they're kind of, the achievements and different things are kind of sporadic. Which I guess it's good they didn't overload us. This was a big system in and of itself to introduce, so I guess maybe being a bit more sparse on the actual decors. I mean, there's quite a few things in the game, but I was kind of expecting something different from the little bit I heard here and there. I wasn't following it super closely, but I was following it enough to kind of have a rough idea of what was going on with everything. I didn't want to be completely unknowing when it came in, but I didn't want to spoil everything either. So, the other thing that I do kind of hope they change is where you have to buy multiple items of the same thing. I think that's going to become a real complaint as this goes on. I've already seen some complaints with that. Things are a bit higher priced from what I'm seeing. I'm going to start out, I think the best way to kind of look into collecting things, I'm going to limit myself a bit to Mists of Pandaria, because that was my favorite expansion, and the Undermined, because that was a very popular patch for a lot of people. So I did a lot with the Undermined. So and I like the style of the things in those two, the expansion and the patch. So I was a bit disappointed there wasn't more Pandaren themed items. And then I saw there are vendors, they did add things retroactively to vendors. So I'm going to have to go back through and look. The Undermine, I have reputation with everyone, so I can pretty well collect anything from there for the most part, unless it's tied to an achievement. I think there was at least one achievement that I still needed to maybe go back to the Undermine and work on. And then in Mists of Pandaria, while I did do all the dailies, the endless amount of dailies, it was just to get the mount, the achievement with the mount. So I'll have to look and see that character that I played during Mists of Pandaria. I don't really play much anymore, so I'll have to go back and look on them. I did look on one character. I did go to the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms and the shrine where the vendors are at the bottom terrace. I did look there, and the vendors do have things to buy. So whether that's anything you want is here nor there, but I wasn't going to go too overboard until I kind of at least set up a room, which is why I wanted to do this and kind of get started with something. So, as I said, while this didn't turn out like I had envisioned, I don't quite have enough, I think, to do what I wanted to do. I hadn't really looked through everything that I own just yet. I keep running back out, by the way, to kind of run in to see, make sure, like, first impression that I'm liking everything. It's the camera angles are very, which may be something more specific with how I have things set up, but yeah. So if you wonder why throughout the process of doing this I run out and back in, that's why, is to see what it will look like when I imagine I will do other things and then come back to my house. So that being said, as I was saying, while this didn't turn out like I thought it was going to, I am happy with what I did, so I'm, for the moment, as I said, going to leave it. I do have some other ideas to do a few different rooms, so at least one other room, maybe two. So, yeah. With that being said, this is me setting up what I'm gonna call my first room, and playing around with a lot of the different items and everything like that. So trying to get everything just. I will say the grid is quite extensive, so you can put things just about anywhere you want. You can turn things to get them just the right angle and all of that, and that is just the worst thing for somebody like me. So you will see a lot of me trying to be a perfectionist at first, and then, as I said, as this goes on, I got less and less particular when I realized, I think when I realized I wasn't going to be able to do necessarily what I wanted to do, but what I was doing wasn't terrible. So, yeah. So, hope you enjoy this.